Thank you so much for having me. I would like to ask you, are you all having a good morning? Are we all feeling good this morning? Yeah? Can I have a cheer if you're feeling good? Woo! Yeah, well, I'm about to ruin all of that by talking about wasps. These guys. So I am sure that every single one of you in this room has your own special story to tell about your encounters with wasps. And I genuinely would love to hear all of those stories later. But I think that the one story that probably unites most of you is the picnic, or the barbecue, or your alfresco dining. Picture it, it's the height of summer, or possibly it's the end of summer, and you're snatching those last few rays before autumn descends, and you're outside having a beautiful spread, lovely barbecue, and you've got your favorite tipple, whether it's a Prosecco or a wine or whatever it is, or beer, and along comes my friend, the wasp. How do we feel about that? Is that something that everyone can relate to? And what do? I bet I know what you do. I know what you do. You go like this, ew, and you throw your arms around and you shout, and you aggravate it, and maybe you even got stung. Hands up who's been stung by a wasp. Yeah, good proportion of you, yeah. Well, I can imagine that actually these guys have possibly made your relationship with wasps get on a bit of a back foot. So you're possibly not your favorite organism. Can I just have a show of hands? I always like to know how many people actually like wasps here. Okay, yeah, not bad. Not the best audience I've seen, but I hope by the end of this, I might have persuaded you otherwise. But now, most speakers in talks will say, please don't play with your mobile phones. I'm going to ask you to get your mobile phones out of your pockets because there's a little bit of audience participation. So I would like you to tell me, using this QR code, or you can go to mentimeter.com, you'll find a website where you can put in your own words, your own private thoughts about wasps. So what are the words that spring to mind when you think about wasps? And be honest, okay? And don't be influenced by those around you. Can I have the Mentimeter slide, please? Here we go, live action. Oh, there's some rude words there, almost. So normally I do this blind, okay? I am a scientist, so I realize that you're being influenced, so try not to be influenced by what's appearing on the screen. But this is you are quite a typical audience, and I'm not sure whether that's a good or a bad thing. But sting, fear, pain are the words that are popping up there. The bigger the word, the more people who are using that word. So these words are all definitely summing up what a typical sector of the public would say about wasps. So we'll let that carry on. You can keep adding words for the next few minutes, but then I'm going to ask you to stop. And I'll certainly share these final word clouds with you all at the end. Okay, can I get back to my presentation? Okay, so that will hopefully have captured data. I'm a scientist, I like to gather data. Captured data on what you guys think about wasps. And probably these sorts of images chime well with what you have to say about wasps. They are depicted as the gangsters of the insect world. So if you Google wasps, this is the kind of thing that comes up. They've inspired the worst of the horror movies. And if you Google them, and you will not struggle to find some rather bad language used about wasps. I've kept it very bland and pleasant here. But wasps have also inspired culture and literature. They are always depicted as the evil one, the bad creature in the film. Now, I actually have published a study that did exactly what I've just asked you to do. I asked over 750 members of the public to give us words about wasps and, of course, their relatives, bees. And this is more or less what your word cloud is probably going to end up looking like, is that on the left-hand side, you've got the wasps, and on the right-hand side, you've got the bees. And there's pretty much only one word that people have to say about wasps, and that is that they sting. And there's some rude words in there as well, if you look very carefully. But bees, on the other hand, people have very positive words to say about bees. Honey, pollination, buzz, beautiful, flowers. They're very emotive. And they also capture the utility of bees. People understand what bees do for us. They provide us with honey, and they also pollinate. But people don't really know what wasps do. And that is one of the reasons why people don't feel that they can enjoy wasps as much as they might bees. This is me. I've been studying wasps for over 25 years. I'm a behavioral ecologist. I'm based at UCL now, but this is where my wasping career began, in a drainage ditch in the rainforests of Malaysia. And above my head, there are lots of little brown sticks. Each one of those is a wasp nest. So I'm literally crouched in a contained space with hundreds of wasp nests above my head. Now, for you, that might be your idea of hell. For me, it's heaven, because it's fantastic. What our scientists like is lots of sample sizes. There are hundreds of wasps on the hundreds of nests there. It's fantastic. So Malaysian wasps, the hover wasps, they're a very good entry wasp. They don't really sting you very much. So if you're thinking of a gateway wasp, they're definitely the ones to go to. But since then, I then graduated onto much larger wasps, these ones at the top here. Are Plistes Satan from Brazil. I know we've got some Brazilians in the audience. They're truly wonderful wasps. They're quite large. And we can mark them with individual identification numbers and follow their behaviors. And we've also put radio tags on wasps. These are some of my favorite wasps from Panama. These are some more hover wasps, and these are actually British wasps. So during the pandemic, I started working a bit more on the UK wasp. But it's safe to say that wasps have taken me around the world. And what I call field trips, you might call expeditions, the wasps have taken me on expeditions to the far-flung parts of the world to discover their behavior. But sadly, I am quite an unusual person. Most people don't share my love for wasps. And over the last 20-odd years, I've got a bit annoyed about this. And I've been thinking about ways to challenge people's perceptions of wasps. And it often involves me dressing up as a wasp. Unfortunately, I couldn't get my costume on the plane this time. But I love giving talks to audiences like this to persuade you guys that actually give wasps a little bit more love. I also do lots of work with children, trying to get them involved, because if you can get the younger generation persuaded that wasps are important, then maybe we're onto a winner, a future of audiences who love wasps. And more recently, I published a popular science book about wasps in my bid to reach a wider audience. It's called Endless Forms, and it's the title of this talk. So I'm going to give you 7 reasons to love wasps. 7's a good number. You're going to remember 7. 10's too many, 5's too few. 7's a good number, and I'll be testing you later. So the first reason, we're going to do a countdown so you know exactly where you are. First reason is wasps are incredibly diverse. Now, can anyone tell me, apart from the people I spoke to yesterday, can anyone tell me how many species of wasps do you think there are in the world? Shout it out. 1,000. Any advance than 1,000? A million? Well, possibly. You're getting a bit extreme there. Yes. 3,000. No, there are over 100,000 species of wasps. And there are probably 5 to 10 times more species yet to be discovered. Because strangely enough, scientists don't study wasps. I'm an unusual scientist. So there are so many more to discover, but you'll be pleased to know that a very small proportion, only about 30,000 wasps, actually sting. So the vast majority of wasps don't sting at all. They're parasitoid wasps, like this wasp down here. They don't have a sting, they have an ovipositor, which they use to lay the egg. And so a sting is simply a modified ovipositor. So next time you get stung, you might feel a little bit more inclined to forgive the wasp, because it's simply her modified ovipositor. Wasps are incredibly diverse, and they are endless in their forms. The largest one that you might come across is Vespa mandarinia, also known as the murder hornet. It comes from Southeast Asia. It's truly spectacular. It has a wingspan of 12 centimeters. It can fly at 40 kilometers an hour, Phenomenal, isn't it? And then at the other end of the spectrum, we have the smallest insect in the world. That is a wasp. It's confusingly called a fairy fly, but it's less than 0.1 millimeters in size, only lives for a few days, but it's super important. These wasps are really important in biocontrol, in helping control pests in agricultural systems. Now, if you're not blown away by the diversity of wasps, then perhaps this will persuade you to like wasps. If it hadn't been for wasps, we wouldn't have any bees, because bees evolved from wasps. They are simply wasps that have forgotten how to hunt. They're vegetarian wasps. And also ants. Ants are wasps that have forgotten how to fly, largely. So everything, the wasps are the root of everything. Number 6. Wasps are important and really incredible assassins. They kill in the most wonderful ways, diverse ways, endless in their ways of killing, you might say. So let's just pick another couple of examples here. This is an ichneummonid wasp. This is a parasitoid wasp here. And you can see this long black thing here, which is its ovipositor. This wasp is incredible. She, using her antenna, she has sensed the presence of a prey item, so a caterpillar or a beetle larva, under the bark of that tree, using her antenna, using the vibrations. And now she's inserted her ovipositor through the bark to lay her egg on that prey item. And the egg will hatch into a larva, and then the larva will eat the caterpillar alive from the inside out. So wonderful assassin stories. Kids love this. And then this is one of my favorite. This is this wasp here it hunts flies, and it impales the fly on its sting. It's got a modified sting to be slightly curved and barbed, so that it can fly and transport its prey to its burrow by carrying it on its backside, which I think is fantastic. Only evolution could dream that up. But this is possibly one of the most famous stories about wasps as assassins. This is the emerald jewel wasp, and she hunts cockroaches. So if there's ever an insect that people hate more than wasps, it's possibly cockroaches. What she does is she stings, she injects a venom into the brains of these cockroaches, neurotoxins, which renders the cockroach unable to have free will, but still able to walk. And then she grabs it by its antenna, because it's far too big for her to carry, and she leads it, like a tame poodle, to its underground tomb. And it's paralyzed, and she lays her egg on it. So it's a living larder, paralyzed by her venom. Isn't that amazing? Paper makers. Now, probably, this is quite a familiar sight to you. These are the yellow jacket wasps that may have built a nest inside your shed or your loft. They build it all out of paper, out of bark from trees. And in fact, there is a story that possibly we have wasps to thank for us discovering how to make paper. The story goes that a Chinese eunuch was sitting under a tree watching a wasp scrape the bark off a tree and mold it in her mandibles and smooth it out into the most beautiful paper constructions. And he thought, blimmin' heck, that's a really good idea. I'm going to have a go at that. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but we love stories, don't we? These wasps are incredible. These are just one example of the architecture of wasps. This is thermoregulated by the envelope around it. It expands the nest. They are mathematicians, these wasps. They build these perfect hexagons. They use their antennae to get the sizes right. There is endless forms of paper that the wasps have used. Socialites. Wasps are socialites. This is why I love wasps. This is why I got into wasps. This is the inside of a yellow jacket colony from my village in Oxfordshire. Isn't it fantastic? It is just like the honeybees that you saw on Sammy's presentation yesterday. These wasps are the honeybees of the insect world. They do everything that is as amazing about the behavior and social organization of honeybees, except they don't make honey. Small point. Now, can you spot the queen? Where is she? Oh, she's going to come here. There, can you see her? That one there. Yeah, she's slightly bigger, yeah, at the top there. So the social life of wasps is what got me into wasps. And these are my favorite wasps. Everybody says, have you got a favorite wasp? I do. Polistes canadensis from the Panama Canal. I spent many years studying them along the banks of the Panama Canal. They're big enough that we can put these number tags on them. We can mark them at birth. We can follow them through their life history. We can also remove individuals. So on this nest, I've removed the queen, and the workers are having an almighty fight over who's going to become the next queen. And the reason for that is that the workers on these nests are all completely able to mate and reproduce. So unlike the yellow jacket wasp, where the workers are committed to being a worker from the moment, during larval development, just like a honeybee worker, these simple societies of wasps are comprised of individuals who are all capable of becoming queens. This makes them fantastic models for understanding the evolution of altruism and cooperative behavior. Okay, so enough about the wonders of the biology of wasps. What about things that wasps can do for us? Because let's face it, that's what most people care about. So the last 3 reasons to love wasps are the ones that you should take most note of, and I purposely put them at the end of the talk. Medicines and food. Now, this is a wasp. This is a pompilid, a spider hunting wasp. She has paralyzed this spider with her venom. She's taking that to her underground lair, where she'll lay an egg on it. This is a paralyzed, perfectly living, functioning spider, but unable to move. How on earth does she do that? Her venom is precisely evolved to be able to suppress the immune system of this spider and to paralyze it. And there are components of venom that have medical properties that are of use to us. So there are two components that are particularly interesting. One is bradykinin. Now, if there are any medics in the audience, you will know that bradykinin cause vasodilation. And this is the type of medicine that we give to intensive care patients to pump drugs around the body more efficiently. Wasps have that too. And it makes sense because they want to get the venom pumped around the body of their prey more quickly. There's also some peptides called mastoporins, and these have potential in a cure for cancer or a treatment of cancer because they cause cancer cells to hemorrhage, to explode. So inside the venom of wasps, there are so many incredible properties that we've not yet discovered. This is a bee wolf. It's a very common species in Europe. It hunts bees, and what it does is when it brings the bee back to its nest, it will lick it all over, it will embalm it, and that's the first line of defense. And then from its antenna, it exudes bacteria, Streptomyces, which produces streptomycin, which, of course, along with penicillin, is one of the most important antibiotics that we use. Wasps have antibiotics. Isn't that incredible? And to top it all, the egg that she lays in this cocoon gives off toxic farts, which keeps all bacteria and viruses at bay. This is one of my favorite examples, though. This is a mud-daubing wasp from Africa, and very accidentally, scientists discovered that the clay that they use to build their nest, or what they do add into the clay, has all sorts of nutritional and mineral components that are useful for our health. And pregnant women and children in rural parts of Africa will pluck these pots off the walls of their huts and eat them because they're very rich in iron and magnesium and all of the sort of minerals that we would go to pharmacy for. Wasps are also a very popular part of the diet in parts of Asia. So in Japan, they go crazy for wasps. This is a wasp festival. So in the UK, we bring along our prize cucumber to our vegetable show. In Japan, you bring along your prize wasp nest. Pollinators. Now, it's often not appreciated that wasps are pollinators, but actually, you do know that wasps are pollinators. You know about the fig wasps, that figs and wasps have this beautiful mutualism, over 800 species of them, that the wasps depend on the fig, and the fig depends on the wasps for their life cycle. But you might not know about the orchid wasp. This is a male orchid wasp, and he is attempting to mate with this orchid, because to him, that orchid smells like a female, looks like a female, and even feels like a sexy female. And this flower has evolved to manipulate the behavior of these males, and you can see the pollen that's been deposited on his back there. But possibly less understood are the generalist pollinating behaviors that the rest of the wasps do. So this is your beloved picnic-bothering wasp. This is taken in my garden at the end of the summer last year. She's on some ivy. Wasps will visit a whole diversity of plants because they need sugar. Because wasps themselves, the adults, are actually vegetarians. It's only the brood that are the carnivores. And so the wasps need to get their sugar from somewhere, and normally it's plants, and therefore they end up inadvertently pollinating, or perhaps sometimes it's your beer. But the number one reason to love wasps is that they are pest controllers. So wasp, this is your lovely, beloved picnic-bothering wasp. You know she's a pest controller because she loves your meat. She loves to come and feed off your barbecue. But in your garden, she will also be helping control populations of caterpillars, of aphids, and of all sorts of other arthropods. So these wasps are really important. They don't just hunt one species. They hunt everything. And so they're really good at keeping all the populations of insects and arthropods at bay. I'll skip that one. And so this comes to, this raises the issue of whether we can better use wasps as pest controllers, as biocontrol agents. And I'm not talking about the parasitoid wasps here. I'm talking about the actual carnivorous wasps, the wasps that actually go out and hunt. And this is not a new idea. Back in 1868, Edward Ormerod wrote in this fabulous book on British social wasps, the practical result of destroying all the wasps on Sir Brisbane's estate was that in 2 years' time, the place was infested, like Egypt, with a plague of flies. So that's basically, I think, the first experimental evidence is that if you remove wasp colonies from a population, from an area, then you get an increase in other insects because they are regulating those insect populations. And we're now in my lab, we're capitalizing on that idea, particularly in subsistence farmers in parts of Africa and in South America, to see how we can help farmers harness the predatory power of these predatory wasps as pest controllers. Wasps are also decomposers. This is your lovely picnic-bothering wasp again, and she is clearing up the debris, whether that debris is your sausage on your barbecue, or whether it's other dead insects. Now, your last chance, another chance now to get involved with get your phones out, please. I'm now going to get you to vote on which of these 7 reasons you think is most compelling to maybe feel a little bit more predisposed to liking wasps. So is it because they're diverse, or their extraordinary assassination methods? Is it because they're paper makers, or socialites? Or perhaps it's the medicines, or the pollinators, or the pest controllers that you are most interested in. So if you go onto that different Mentimeter site now, and you can pull the sliders across to see which ones you like best. So can we have the Mentimeter? Oh, look at this. Data in action. Isn't it marvelous? Up and down. Don't look. Just be honest. Yeah, so this really brings home to the fact that most people are most convinced by the utility of wasps. What can wasps do for us? Rather than the things that have got me excited about wasps for the last 20 years. I've clearly been barking up the wrong tree. Thank you for that. I'd now like to finally finish with your final words. Now, what words would you use to describe wasps? So this is another Mentimeter link. And we are almost at the end, don't worry. Can I have the slide, please? The Mentimeter? Can we have the... Oh, cool. Yay! I love this. Thank you. Friends, beautiful, amazing. Pest control, creative assassins. Fantastic. Pollinator, interesting. Not so bad. Yeah, who said that? Wonderful. This is fantastic. This is exactly what I wanted to see. And hopefully, can I go back to my slide? Please keep adding them. And hopefully, this now makes sense, because I'm now going to tell you that the inspiration for my talk title on my book, Endless Forms, The Secret World of Wasps, is inspired by the closing sentence of Darwin's On the Origin of Species, where he says, endless forms, most beautiful and most wonderful, have been and are being evolved. I like to think that Darwin was actually thinking about the endless forms of wasps when he wrote that sentence. Thank you very much for your time.